Look, if you want to understand how to build a lasting movement or how to fundamentally shape an entire culture, you actually don't need to study modern tech giants or political campaigns. No, you need to look at an ancient real estate deal. Seriously, today we're unpacking the master plan of ancient Israel. It's a strategy so perfectly executed, it literally changed the landscape of history.
Picture this for a second. You're part of a newly established nation. The land is finally being divided up after years of struggle, right? Everyone is getting their piece of the pie. But then you hit this massive, glaring paradox right in the middle of the text of Joshua 21. The Levites, the tribe handpicked to be the spiritual leaders, the educators, literally the most crucial group for the nation's spiritual survival, they were given absolutely zero continuous land. Nothing, nada, no borders to call their own. Why on earth would the most important tribe get totally skipped on payday?
It's a crazy contrast when you really look at it. On one hand, you've got the other 11 tribes securing these massive, sprawling, continuous borders. They're effectively setting up their own distinct states. But the Levites? They just got scattered towns and some small common lands. And here's the thing, this wasn't some administrative oversight. They didn't just get shortchanged. This was a highly calculated, intentional master plan by design.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this plan, it all hinges on one hyper-specific number, 48. That is the exact number of cities set apart across the entire nation specifically for the Levites. The whole idea was that the servants of the Lord were never meant to be isolated in some distant holy territory cut off from the real world. They were meant to be right in the mix, dwelling directly among the people.
Okay, let's actually run the numbers on this really quick, because the math is just fascinating. This wasn't random. The distribution was perfectly calculated among the different Levite families across all the other tribes. You've got 13 cities from Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin for the priests, then 10 cities centrally located, 13 up in the north, and 12 more out in the east. 13 plus 10 plus 13 plus 12. Exactly 48 cities, strategically placed so that every single tribe shared the provision.
Now here is the absolute mind-blowing part of the historical context. This scattering? No accident. If you go way back to Genesis 49, it was actually prophesied that Levi would be scattered in Israel. And honestly, at the time, that sounded like a really harsh curse. But look at what happens here. What could have been a hard word was completely flipped and transformed into this strategic, living network. By placing them in these 48 cities, this ancient blueprint ensured that God's ways were, quite literally, right down the street from every single household.
And what's really wild is the hidden mini-narrative embedded literally into the map itself. These weren't just random names. The cities communicated a message to the surrounding culture. Look at the translations here. Hebron means fellowship, like a place where Abraham walked with God. Shechem means shoulder, a place that carries a burden. Kedesh translates to holy or sanctuary. Boozer is a strong fortress, and Ramoth means heights, implying a place of safety and oversight. Put it all together, and this map formed a living, breathing message of fellowship, burden sharing, and safety, completely baked into the neighborhoods of the people.
So what's the sheer genius behind this entire setup? Well, the strategy of scattered influence meant that a person living in ancient Israel never had to travel far to find someone who could actually explain the scriptures. Proximity is power, guys. Because the Levites had no massive tribal territory of their own, their one and only calling was to live among the other tribes to teach the judgments and law of the Lord, stand before him, and bless in his name. Scriptural knowledge and worship guidance were always locally accessible. I mean, it was the ultimate ancient decentralized network.
All right, moving into Section 1, Sanctuaries of Mercy.
This strategy wasn't just some ancient education system, right? It had literal life or death stakes. Out of those 48 Levite cities, 6 of them were designated as cities of refuge. In a world where blood feuds and endless cycles of revenge were incredibly common, if you caused an accidental death, you needed somewhere to run, fast. These 6 cities, including places like Hebron, Shechem, and Ramoth, were specifically designed to offer immediate protection, fair justice, and the presence of mercy. Anyone fleeing for their life could run to these specific Levite towns and find an unbiased, safe sanctuary. I mean, just let the social brilliance of that design sink in for a second. By putting these cities of refuge directly inside the Levite network, it meant that mercy and justice lived side by side with the teaching of God's word. The people who knew the Lord's standards best were the exact ones tasked with stopping those endless cycles of revenge and protecting the vulnerable. It brought justice and mercy right into the neighborhood.
Section 2. A promise fully kept.
So did all this careful, meticulous planning actually work?
The answer is a resounding yes. Listen to this absolute powerhouse of a statement from Joshua 21. Not a word failed of any good thing which the Lord had spoken to the house of Israel. All came to pass. That is the strongest statement of absolute fulfillment in the entire text. Every single promise about the land, about the rest, and about the provision for those scattered Levites was kept in full. The decentralized network was officially online.
Section 3. Echoes of Scattered Service.
Now, a strategy this insanely effective doesn't just disappear. We actually see biblical echoes of this exact scattered service model much later on. King Jehoshaphat, for instance, didn't just invite everyone to some central location, he sent officials directly into the cities of Judah to teach the book of the law right in their own towns. Fast forward to the early days of the Christian church, and you meet a guy named Joseph, a Levite who the apostles called Barnabas. Staying totally true to his heritage, instead of getting comfortable in one spot, Barnabas lived among the people, traveling everywhere to encourage believers and build up their faith.
And you can literally watch this ripple right through history. In the 5th century, Augustine lived closely among the everyday people in North Africa. Jump to the 19th century, and Queen Victoria is pushing for widespread Bible distribution. Hit the 20th century, and leaders like Luis Palau and René Padilla are serving right in the thick of Latin American communities. The pattern is identical every single time. Truth has to be lived out close to ordinary people.
Which brings us to right now, the modern blueprint. Because this ancient 48-city strategy, it is alive and well today. It's carried on by everyday professionals who understand that their influence isn't meant to be isolated in a bubble. We're talking about the teachers working in local schools, the doctors serving in neighborhood clinics. It's the professionals grinding in everyday corporate workplaces who act as this living network, making truth, justice, and mercy available exactly where people live and labor. They are the scattered influence of today.
So here's the ultimate takeaway, and honestly, it's a challenge directly to you. Take a hard look at your own life. Look at your own geography. The nearness of this influence, that is still the design. So where is your scattered placement today? What neighborhood? What office? What community have you been placed in? And how are you using that exact proximity to shape the culture around you? Remember, having true influence doesn't require some massive, sprawling territory. It just requires you to be fiercely present exactly where you've been scattered.